this marks a new beginning. Thanks for supporting a total reinvention. The soul is still here, but the vibe's a little different. Unpredictable, hide the kids and the women. Sports of all sorts, music, mixed for living. Rep New York City, but hate the politician. Always bring the heat, Steph, bacon in the kitchen. Big shout to y'all, I appreciate the listen. Donnie put the rest, but I'm still in the best. In the world of what I do, all y'all know the rest. I live it, I breathe it, I'm the whole definition. The pinnacle, the ultimate, I'm on a new mission. The Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph, featuring the one and only Mike Steph, the best in the world of what he does. Tap in.
The devil is a liar, tried to keep me in the fire. Situation with dire water kept them getting higher. To elevate my thoughts, my solution was the lighter. But no matter how much a spark, couldn't get any higher. Time bomb ticking, let the bad rash decisions. Took into my 40 before the shit started clicking. A son would take it from us, but I understand the mission. It doesn't lessen the hurt or the tears that are swimming. Begin to turn the heel while I heal, life got me on my heels. Gotta maintain control. I hold on to the wheel, cause if I don't, my family's fate is signed to live and seal my last opportunity. No more crying raw deals. A nigga in his fields and I feel for the first time. The closer I get to solving the puzzle, the less I need to rhyme. What up, people? I said, what up, people? Welcome to another edition of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast, featuring the one and only Mike Steph, best of what he does. Yeah, man, I am back. I'm back for another week. I'm back for another episode. And to be very blunt, y'all have no idea how close y'all were and not getting not a new episode, not even an inkling, not even a second, not even a millisecond this week due to circumstances, but not bad circumstances. And tell you the truth, even though it's like 1:15 in the morning and this is going into my last day on my birthday vacation of 11 days before I go back to the shoot job, I just said, you know what, I'm going to give the masses what they want. I'm going to give the masses what they wish to deserve. And I'm going to give the masses a new episode strictly because of the fact of how well y'all supported your dude. How well y'all supported the kid last week. When I say I'm so greatly indebted and thankful for each and every one of y'all who tuned in last week, both old viewers and listeners, both new viewers and listeners, and just pretty much anybody who's decided to check me out and decided to make last week one of the days that they decided to listen to the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph. Like, I truly appreciate it. I'm not one to usually dwell on numbers, and I'm not going to start being that dude. But when I say last week was the most viewed episode in this newest iteration of the Salty Thoughts podcast, I be telling the truth, because yes, it was. And I have a lot of people to thank, but I would thank the three most important people due to that success: my brother Mont, my sister Steph, and last but certainly not least, my lovely wife, who went by the moniker of Mrs. Salty Thoughts last week. My lovely wife, Mrs. Ooh. Because when I say she supported the kid, when I say she supported her man, she stood by her man. Stand by your man. Ooh, ooh. That's exactly what she did. She was like, you know what? I'm on this episode. I'm on my husband's platform. I'm on my man's platform. And I'm going to make sure at least 50%. Like I said, see that 95% of the people knew. That means the whole borough of Brooklyn and some of Pennsylvania, and some of North Carolina, and some of Georgia, and some probably overseas know about it. That's how many people my wife knows. My wife has a very, very, very large social network, if you will. But yeah, I like I said, I really, really appreciate each and every one of y'all who tuned in. Hopefully, y'all liked what you heard. Y'all liked what you saw. Hopefully, y'all liked it enough that y'all tuning in this week. But I will have this disclaimer at the top. This episode will probably not be like last week's episode. Because duh, it's only me here, and I'm back on my trusty ass couch, and I'm back with my beautiful, my lovely wife's painting behind me, and I'm by myself. Yeah, yeah. It really wasn't supposed to happen like that. It really was not supposed to happen like that because I had a couple ideas in mind, and yeah, that's right. It's 6 minutes and 13 seconds on the dial, and yes, we are officially in the intro. But there was a couple ideas that I had in my mind that I was going to do, and because of circumstances, they just didn't come to fruition. But I'll let you know exactly what was on deck. We was going to have the addendum to last week's episode last week, but we got up the next morning, and we was like, you know what? Time got away from us. Plus, we just wanted to enjoy each other's company without the camera, so to speak. And just concentrate on spending our precious time together before we had to part ways. So that was number one. Number two, we was going to try to get back together this week and just do it remotely. Me and my wife on this trusty ass couch, and brother Mark and Steph either on their trusty ass couch or on their table in which we created magic around. And maybe, just maybe, and hopefully I'm not speaking out of school. And if I am, I apologize, brother and sister. Maybe they was making magic on that table that we just recorded on. But I digress. But yeah, that ended up not happening because something came up that kind of out trumped everything, especially dealing with this podcast. And you know what that came? You know what that thing that happened? I'll tell you. My lovely grandsons came to visit Pop Pop and Gigi for the weekend. Last minute, kind of, and but was one of those things like, look, I have free time. My wife had free time. Yeah, do we have maybe some plans of what we're going to do for the weekend? Yeah. But when the opportunity comes, when the opportunity presents itself to spend time with your grandchildren, especially when they're about 350 miles, huh? Yeah, about 300 miles away on a normal basis. When you when they come into proximity, you clear your schedule to bring them in, and bring them in. We did, and ran us ragged. They did. I'll say this: as young as I felt last week or last weekend, reliving stuff and just spending time and going out and spending time with friends and family, or just might say just family and loved ones. Um, and I felt kind of chipper and tender at the tender age of 47. This week was a subtle reminder that, yeah, mother effer, you 47. Yeah, the things you thought you could get away with, you cannot get away with anymore. The things you was able to get away with at 37, albeit you didn't have any grandchildren, you cannot get away with anymore. The patience comes down to when you take them to the park. But I say all that to say, and that's no shade, I love the hell out of my grandsons. Like I love them dearly. Like they are both sides of their father, who are unfortunately no longer here in the physical. But when I say my 7-year-old, he walks like his pop. His mannerisms like his pop. He can have that serious side like his pops. He has his very sentimental and thoughtful side like his pops, and he has a memory like an elephant. A 4-year-old, he can be as silly as his pops was, He could be as energetic as Pops was, and he has a big head like his Pops did when he was that age. Um, but they complement each other so well. Um, in a lot of ways, they remind me of their father and their uncle. My oldest son Kai and my younger son Chef Mix, aka Mikey. They remind me of them at their age. They're like 3 years apart. Kai and Mikey were 2.5 years apart. Pretty much same realm. And Kai was the pretty much the serious one because he was the oldest, and he would really dote over his sisters and his brother if need be. And his brother was just sometimes oblivious and just very silly and hard headed. And that's what they reminded me of, I swear. Even from their stature, Kai always he had the 6-pack. By the time he was 5 years old, he had the 6-pack chisel. Mikey was round mound and rebound, so to speak. Yeah, I'm talking mucho ish right now. But yeah, so we spent time with them this weekend, and it was a great time. It was a great time. My oldest little antidote he did. He's a little antidote I'll give y'all. I got up Sunday morning. It's like they came Friday afternoon. Took them out. Took them to see their cousins. Took them to see their aunt. Saturday, took them out. Got them. Went to a little block party that they were. They were like a community block party. Took them over there. Took them to the park. And then Sunday morning, I had to get up, do my 1-2, run around a little bit, do a couple errands, and I just do on what I had on the day before. So I come back in the house, and my oldest grandson was like, Pop. I was like, yeah, babe. He's like, why you got on what you had on yesterday? It took me back. I'm like, excuse me? He was like, Pop, why you got on the same thing you had on yesterday? I was like, because I just had to run to the store. I wasn't getting fresh to death. Yeah, but I'm just saying. I'm like, you know what? I hear you. It wasn't necessary. I wasn't trying to impress anybody. I just had to run to the store, do something. He was like, okay. He was like, but why you went to work? So why you went to what? You went to work and you came back real quick? I'm like, no, I just went to. I'm off over vacation. Because a lot of times when they come up to the city, a lot of times either they come right before. Matter of fact, they come while I'm at work. So then when I get home, I come home from work to them, and then the next morning I have to leave back out to go to work. So anytime they see me go out, and they're not accompanying me, they automatically think Pop Up gotta go to work. Because listen, at least they know that Pop Up ain't a bum ass motherfucker. But I digress once again. But yeah, that was good times. So the other thing I was going to do possibly was me and my wife were just going to do a podcast, on current events. But I ain't gonna lie, and I will only speak for myself. And maybe in the future, if she comes on, if she chooses to divulge, then she will. If not, then we'll act like this conversation didn't happen. Um, Seeing our grandchildren, and especially seeing them leave, and knowing it's probably going to be a little bit away before we get to see them again, is very emotional. So when we came back from taking them downstairs to the other set of grandparents and their aunts to get back on the trek to go back home, it was a little bittersweet. Like we enjoyed the time we was with them, but at the same time, it was one of those like, wow, okay. As much as we're not used to having little kids in the house anymore, when we came back, that quietness kind of, I know it touched me a little bit, So that was real. part of the reason why I was like, I ain't going to record tomorrow. I ain't going to push it, and if we choose to do it tomorrow, then we do it tomorrow, but I ain't pushing it. And yeah, that was that. So that's how that's how I spent this past weekend. What's on deck? I got so many titles that I was going to get. They were going to give this episode. I was going to get this episode. A lot of times going into the episode, I decide, well, whether or not either I'll have a title in mind and I'll steer my conversation into fitting that title, or I will just have topics in mind and go through the topics, and then after I press stop on the recording button, then I can think about it when I'm setting everything up. I'm like, what should I entitle this? Or there might be a quote that's fresh in my mind of what I just said, and I'll entitle it that. So thinking about this, I was like, yeah, I know. Oh yeah, I'm letting y'all know right now. There really ain't gonna be no sports talk this week. I know I told everybody I was gonna give them a sprinkle song. That did not happen because, to tell you the truth, just didn't happen. I didn't feel like talking. The Mets make me depressed because there's nothing really to talk about. I don't even feel like wasting my time with them. And last sprinkle of salt I gave about a good 40 minutes to the METS Metropolitans. I'm about to say JETS Jets. Speaking of which, the reason I'm not going to talk about the Jets this week is because, yes, that's right, there was a new episode, a very brand new episode of Hidden Gems Football, hosted by the Mojo King and myself. New episodes will drop during the regular season, probably on Thursday, but we decided to drop a new episode last week. And not to give y'all too much behind the curtain, let's just put it this way. I was kind of football talked out, if you will. As much football I talked last week, and to tell you the truth, the week before that, I didn't really want to talk about no football. And I just felt like coming on the heels of last week, maybe some of my listenership probably didn't give a F about football, so I'm going to oblige y'all and not talk about football this week. I'm not going to talk about baseball this week. And basketball season is pretty much null and void until at least the end of September. So, what I am going to talk about this week is the following. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what happened this week involving yours truly and doctors in general. 3 different situations I've had. One this week, one this year, and one that affects me to this day. I'm going to talk about those, and I'm going to combine those, and maybe, just maybe, you might have a memory or a situation with one of your caretakers, one of your PC, personal physicians, or what have you. And maybe you can put it down in the comments. Oh, please press that like button. Please share this out. And please subscribe. If you like what you hear on the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph. And even if you don't like what you hear on the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph, it costs you nothing to press that like button. It costs you, well, I ain't gonna lie. If I already don't want things on my feed, I ain't subscribing. But it costs you nothing to press that like button, because maybe if you don't like it, maybe somebody else will. But I digress. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about doctors and the arrogance of doctors, and the fact of how doctors think they're God or have a God complex, but in reality, they actually have a Napoleon complex. And yeah, and and I will be talking about one of my unfortunate favorite subjects nowadays, and we're talking about the influx of asylum seekers. I love how it got changed from asylum seekers to I mean, from migrants to asylum seekers, now that it's starting to become an issue, it's starting to become unpopular, if you will. It's just very interesting to me how they like to play the shell game when it comes to that. So something happened this week. Something actually happened today. To be blunt, some news came out today that I would be remiss if I didn't speak on, because I'm not gonna lie, I've been vocal on this topic. Um, I wouldn't say I straddle the fence, but I try to be respectful. Respectful from a native point of view. So, yeah, I'm gonna get my 2 cents on that, and hopefully don't get myself in too much trouble. But as I've said in the past, even though I said it in the past, even though the large majority of y'all decided to skip that episode, one thing that I will be doing going forward, whether fair or foul, is not biting my tongue. Like I said, I'm not going to be disrespectful, but I am going to speak my feelings unfiltered, because at the end of the day, these are my salty thoughts. And guess whose salty thoughts these are? Mike Steph's, and no one else's. That's one of the benefits that you have of being independent, because pretty much can say what the hell I feel like saying without any repercussions. So, yeah, that's what's going to be on deck this week. Before I actually start, I like to wish a belated happy left-handed day. Yes, I never knew there was such a thing. Happy left-handed day, which is past Sunday, April 13th to be exact. Like, I know I'm going to get myself in trouble for saying this, but it is what it is. Happy left-handed day, to me, has a very, very special meaning. Um, and of course, I did not save that freaking. It just really pissed me off. I did not save that darn picture. Ain't that a bitch? But left-handed day, I forgot whether it was Chris Rock. I think it was Dave Chappelle. It was one of the others. And this is going to be very, very vulgar, but what can I tell you? Might have been Chris Rock, tell you the truth, because it seemed kind of old school. For those of the, but okay, let's just put it this way. Some men, you know, some people, pause. This whole segment is a pause. But some people decided, like they just wanted to get their shit on. They wanted to get their rocks off. They wanted to get their nut off, right? So the majority of people out there are right-handed. So of course, if they partake in those activities, they use their right hand. But after the more and more they do it, it becomes familiar. Oh, Pamela. You know, sometimes the extracurricular just need a little pizzazz, panache, if you will. And when you're so used to Pamela, sometimes to make it a new activity, more like a mistress, if you will, use the left hand. And you know what the left hand was called? Left hand was called the stranger. Whole different feel. Shit curved to the right. Guess what? Now it's curving to the left. I swear this is one of those things that if I edit shit, I'll probably just edit this out. But y'all know I don't edit a damn thing. So I think on that note, I'm going to get this show on the road before I dig myself a deeper hole. Right? So without further ado, good night. Yeah. And goodbye. Bang! You mother effer. Oh, I got a lag today. Dr. Killpatient. Where could I begin when I'm talking about Dr. Killpatient? Those of us of a certain age that used to listen to Helter Skelter, they actually had a song featuring Dr. Killpatient, aka Ruck, aka Sean Price, aka Sean P. on Therapy. I need a doctor to give me some therapy. I need a doctor to check my brain. Yeah, it was one of those album cuts. And to tell you the truth, almost 27 years later, I listened to that song recently, and yes, it has a whole new meaning. But Dr. Killpatient, this guy right here, we'll just call him Bugs Bunny. Actually, this is from an episode of Bugs Bunny, a cartoon episode of Bugs Bunny, from 1939, if you believe it or not. The reason I'm bringing Dr. Killpatient up is for numerous reasons. Here's another clip of Dr. Killpatient giving Elmer Fudd his bill, or should I say his information, his credentials, which, by the way, if you look very, very deeply, that piece of paper is blank. Here's another one of Dr. Killpatient looking at the Tasmanian devil, about to make the Tasmanian devil guzzle. You see that beaker right at his feet, right at Dr. Killpatient's feet, that's entitled nitroglycerin. Harvard University diploma, not Harvard. You see that bootleg ass diploma on the wall. Yeah, but I digress. I really digress. This week, the reason I'm bringing this up, because this week, my experiences with doctors have been on a steady decline this week. All started this Monday. This Monday, I had an appointment at my gastrologist, right? The same gastrologist that I've spoken about in the past. Same gastrologist that I've had my colonoscopy, not once, but twice. And I had an endoscopy about maybe 3 weeks ago. Since March of this year, I had some food poisoning. That's the best way I could describe it. I had food poisoning. I don't know exactly what happened, but best believe I ate something one night, a combination of things. My stomach, next morning I got up, me and the missus, the fam were going to Sam's Club, caught a fever, had to run to the bathroom, went to Walmart, threw up, and pretty much that whole weekend I was tore up, and I haven't been the same since with my stomach. Some days are better than others, but my stomach has a problem of bloating. So, being the fact that I was dealing with a gastrologist because I was at the age like, you know what, let me get myself checked out, let me get this colonoscopy, blah, 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 blah. I figured, okay, and she started out great. I'll just call her Dr. Q. so I won't incriminate myself or leave myself open to slander charges, even though everything I'm saying is the honest God truth. Because homegirl is in her fucking feelings for no reason. And yeah, that's 30 minutes into this podcast, and it took me to talk about old girl for me to actually utter the F word. But I'll just say Dr. Q. Got 3 different locations. One out in Kings Highway, one out at Bay Parkway, and one downtown on Clinton Avenue. So, first couple of times, very nice bedside demeanor. Hey, how you doing? Little what you call small talk, little chit chat, little joke or whatever, jokey joke. Everything was fine the first colonoscopy. Second one, because the first one didn't take. The second one, I go back. And, I was a little nervous. She's like, what's the matter? I'm like, a little nervous, whatever. Things were going on in my mind. My anxiety was playing tricks on me. Like, look, don't worry. You don't have nothing to worry about. You're in good hands, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, no problem. So, did the follow-up. Said, yeah, everything looked good or whatever, but we're going to follow up with a phone appointment, which is a scam in itself. I don't understand how my insurance is paying full price, how I'm paying for a 15-minute copay. And yeah, it's convenient for me to be in my house, but how there's all types of things that you're skipping and you're getting paid the same. You're skipping my vitals. You're skipping my physical. You don't know what the hell's going on in my stomach. You don't understand any of that, right? And I just realized it just showed my stomach on screen, but listen, skip over that part. You don't know nothing, but regardless. So they're like, look, everything came back negative. We could follow up with some additional tests, but right now it looks like you just need to adjust your diet. I'm like, okay, fine. I can adjust my diet. Not a problem. Did explain to the woman that my place of business is kind of hard for me to eat to my optimum health, so to speak, for various reasons. Number one, it's not that many healthy options around my place of business. I have 2 fruit stands, 2 actually famous fruit stands in Bay Ridge / Borough Hall, Brooklyn. But fruit stands, nevertheless. Sometimes you want some food, and I'm sorry. I got a Spanish spot next door. I didn't see rats go in there, so I will never ever partake in anything that they serve. Plus the service, slight tangent, they're kind of racist. I've been at this location that I work at for going on a year and a half. I used to frequent that location prior to that, on and off. I would cover people's vacations, what have you, right? So pretty much, hey, my friend, hey, brother, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Now, even though it's a Spanish spot, oh, it's raining. Even though it's a Spanish spot, it's ran by Asians, which no problem. Look, matter of fact, I'm not going to say that because that sounds like the same person. That sounds like the person that was like, oh, I don't got a problem with black people. My best friend is black. But my people know where my heart is at, and I mean no slander. I really don't. So they were like, hey, my friend, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. All right, fine. So for a year and a half, matter of fact, a year, I would go there straight, get numerous bottles of cranberry juice during the day, water bottles, and cups of ice. Not once did they ever offer me anything free. That's what I was asking, but it's like, come on, like, you really can't just throw me a free cup of ice? I come in here every day for 5 days a week. But whatever, right? That's not the problem. That's not the reason I have a problem with them. So one day, I ended up talking to a customer who happened to be a retired worker. And he was Spanish. And he said he went into that establishment about 1 o'clock in the afternoon because he was wasting time while his wife was in the hair salon maybe 2 doors down. And he said he went in there because he just was like, browsing, see what's in there. All right, it's a Spanish spot. Let me see what's in there. He said the dude at the counter said it's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Said, hey, my friend, how you doing? Oh, we got beer in the back. So the dude was like, excuse me? He was like, yeah, we got plenty of beer. We got Modelo, we got blah blah blah, we got Corona. He said, what makes you think I'm in here looking for alcohol? What makes you think that at 1 o'clock in the afternoon that I'm in here looking to get drunk? Why? It's because I'm Spanish? Oh, no, no, my friend. No, 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 no offense. I'm just letting you know. Why did you make a point to let me know? So when he told me that, I'm like, wow, okay. Shoot, if they sold tobacco products, they'd probably take me for a black and mild dude, huh? Strike number strike number two. Because the first one was like, damn, I couldn't even give me a free cup of ice. Now, mind you, Spanish dudes, when they were working the register, they couldn't find a cup, or they didn't have a thing for the cup. So they gave me this big bucket. Well, yeah, yeah, this big container of ice for $1. Same amount they were going to charge me for the little 12 ounce cup of ice. But so at least they were trying to look at, right? So, like I said, long story short, um, there was there was a senior guy that frequents my place of business, and I always help him um, with his purchase. But this time the machines were messed up, and there was one machine that was messed up, one machine was working, and all he had was $50 bills. And I'm like, look, I don't feel comfortable for you putting a $50 bill in there, because God forbid something happens to that $50 bill, then it's a lot of rigmarole to try to get your money back, and I don't want to put you in that situation. Plus, I didn't want to put myself in that situation. So I said, you know what? Let me go next door, see if they got change. If they got change, then you go next door, you get change, and we could piecemeal like that, right? He said, all right, no problem. So I'll go next door. I asked him, like, yo, my man, you got change for 50? Now, mind you, he pulls out, because delivery guy, he pulls out a wad. Then he goes into the register. Oh, I'm sorry, I got no change. Sorry, my friend. So I was like, oh yeah, all right. So I went back, told the senior citizen, like, look, I'm sorry, they don't got any change. Um, Come back tomorrow. I'll be here tomorrow. I can help you with your purchase. He said, all right, no problem, my friend. Now, mind you, so matter of fact, senior, he goes out. And he doesn't walk fast. He's within 3 minutes, he comes back with change for 50. I'm like, hold on. Fear foul. When he goes in his wallet, he pretty much shows me what's in his wallet. So all he had was 50s. It's not, and plus he trusts me enough that he's not going to just say, all right, I didn't want to pull out a 50 on him. So that means he went next door. Do you know what the senior had in common with the guy at the register? You got it. They were both Asian. To each his own. My thing is, I'm in full uniform. I've been patronizing your establishment for over 12 months. Why did you have to lie and tell me you did not have change for a 50 when, in fact, it was one of those you didn't feel like having change for a 50 for me? So that was strike three. You see this shirt? This three strikes. A lot of times, I don't give anybody three strikes. I give them two. I give them two, and after the two, they get the F. They get the F out my face, if you get the gift. So that's the only real eating option I have in my area, right? So I tell the doctor, I'm like, look, it's hard for me, which go, I mean, look, I'm going to adjust my diet. I'm going to cut out beef, and for the most part, for the last 2 months, I think I can say one night I had some beef. I had a bubble burger. I've cut out the steak. I've cut out the roast beef. I've cut out all that. I've ate nothing but chicken and fish. If I'm eating some type of meat, it's chicken or fish. Salmon, whiting, shrimp, scallops, or chicken. Even if I have to do fast food, it's chicken or fish. I've cut out I've cut out the donuts. I've cut out the Dunkin' Donut refreshers, which are nothing but sugar. Um, like I've really tried to make adjustments to my diet. I've cut out my ice cream because I know I'm lactose intolerant, so I don't take those chance. I don't even drink coffee that much anymore. Matter of fact, I haven't drank coffee since April because on one reason is because the caffeine fucks with my anxiety, and I don't like black coffee, so I always put cream in it. And the cream, even though the cream doesn't bother me, I'm trying to cut out anything that could potentially be a cause of my stomach being bloated after I eat. Right? So, cutting this out. I've been taking probiotics. I've been taking Gas X. Uh, Recently, I was taking Pepsi until I realized that after like 2 days, my lips start burning. And then I looked, and that was one of the side effects of Pepsi is dry mouth, aka burning mouth. And I'm like, oh no, no, these lips are too important for them to be chapped. These lips are too important for them to be burning. And I like to get my LL on. Ladies lick Cool J. Anyway, but yeah, that's so I've really made progress in that, right? So I thought. So before we go for the endoscopy, I'm explaining to him, I'm like, look, doc, I'm very frustrated right now because you're saying change my diet. I've made adjustments to my diet. I try to cut out the fried food. I try to cut out the fast food. If I do have to have fast food, I do not eat which go at the burgers or the fries or the spicy shit. I've cut that out. You told me, oh well, I told you because of my job, it's hard for me to come home at 1 o'clock in the morning, eat, and then stay up until 5 o'clock in the morning till I digest. You told me, well, that's a decision that you make. I told you the reason I don't eat at my place of business is because, especially since the pandemic, it's not the most sanitary place to eat. So I wait until I get home. Trust me, I know I should be eating 3 meals a day. Sometimes I try to eat before I go to work, and I don't eat until later on that night when I come home. You told me, but once again, that's a decision that you make. Then you come up and say, "Oh, well, I don't understand. Patients think this is just some type of magic pill or cure pill. We just give y'all something, y'all magically." Did I ask you for any medication? I've told you my situation, my personal situation. I've asked you, well, maybe it's because of X. Maybe is that why I'm having stomach problems? You know what she says to me? Possibly. I'm like, okay. Well, if I'm taking this medication, would that have an effect? Possibly. Well, I'm taking the probiotics, right? I'm doing all these steps and I'm still having the same problem. Do you not understand how frustrating that could be for me? So go to the endoscopy, right? Go to this place, and I don't. The first location they had was great. I love the service. Second, and third place, I'm like, yo, my insurance paid more than to have clinic type atmosphere. Look, I'm bougie when it comes to certain things. I'm bougie when it comes to my food, and I'm bougie when it comes to my medical, and I rightfully so. And I'm bougie when it comes to my hats and my t-shirt, but I digress. So do the endoscopy, and that's the first time I had an endoscopy by itself. The first and only time I had it prior to that was a combination of colonoscopy. So pretty much they knocking me out. Every time I go in there for something like this now, they knock me out, which is great. Great. Shoot, who wants to be up when they shoving something down your throat? Pause. So shoving something up your ass? Pause. Nobody wants to be up for that. So usually the routine is you come in, you take your vitals, then they put you in the bed, and then they which go prep you with the IV, and then you wait to get called into the room. I'm a pro at this now. This time, did my vitals, they go tell me get in the bed, I get in the bed, and they just let me sit there. The doctor comes in, and I guess she's doing a follow-up after done probe mother effers. She opens the curtain, sees me. Shh. I'm like, okay. Second time, she comes, opens the curtain, shh, sees me. Shh. No hi, no how you doing, how's everything? Nothing. I'm sitting in that bed for about a good half hour, and I'm hearing people go in, go out, go in, go out. Now it was like I said, I know she was the only one on duty that day, and it was busy. But in my mind is running. I'm like, yo, they haven't prepped me. Are they really gonna just numb my throat and just shove something down my throat? Now my mind is going 100 miles an hour, trying to figure out what the hell is about to go on. So I asked the nurse. I'm like, nurse, um, I'm having an endoscopy. Y'all not gonna sedate me? Y'all not gonna put me to sleep? Oh, don't worry, don't worry. You'll be fine. Everything will be okay. That's not what I asked. I didn't ask if everything was gonna be okay. I asked a specific question. Are y'all not gonna prep me for an IV to knock my ass out? Let me know what are y'all doing so I can mentally prepare myself for what's about to come. Oh, don't worry, don't worry. Everything will be fine. Of course, her saying this does not really reassure me that everything is going to be fine. Right? So, doctor, nurse comes and gets me, takes me into the room. I guess probably the anesthesiologist comes and gets me. Now, my doctor is sitting, she's standing there. I come in, they roll me in, and I'm asking the anesthesiologist, I'm like, y'all going, she's like, yeah, you've had this done before, right? I'm like, yeah, but I had it in concert with my endoscopy. She's like, yeah. So I was like, are y'all not gonna, am I not gonna be sedated? Yeah, don't worry. We're gonna take care of you. I'm like, but you've had it done before. I'm like, yeah, but I've never had this done solo. So I'm just asking questions. I don't understand why everybody's in their fucking feelings because I'm asking questions. So they roll me in. Doctor looks at me and doesn't say not one word. I ain't gonna lie, I'm feeling away like your homegirl. You still in your feelings because I told you 2 weeks ago I was frustrated over the fact that my stomach is still bloated. It ain't your stomach. You know, because you know how she was running it to me? She was running it to me like, well, maybe if you lose some weight, you would have this acid reflux. Maybe you did some exercise, and I'm not talking about just the walking. Maybe you actually, did some strenuous exercise, you wouldn't have this problem. Maybe if you change your diet, you wouldn't have this problem. That's how I'm taking. So because I'm telling you I'm frustrated, you catching feeling, homegirl, you getting paid. Technically, I'm your fucking boss when it comes to me. The CEO of me is me. Right? And I'm gonna try to lower my voice. I really don't want to wake my wife up. So I try to break the ice. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. So I try to break the tensions. I was like, "Hey, doc," I'm like, "Yeah, I see you busy today. You just rolled them in and cranking them out, right?" She's like, "Yeah, yeah, it's been a busy day." Look, one thing about me, and this one thing my therapist has told me, because she's very aware that I'm very aware of people's vibes, maybe more than I is probably healthy. But I can tell if the energy's off. I could tell if that vibration's off. And homegirl's vibration was totally off. Like it was almost like, damn, I gotta deal with this mother F. She looked on the list like Steph as fuck. Wow. Really? That's gonna make me feel confident? So pretty much the anesthesiologist is the one that really give me talk. Is talking to me. Oh yeah, I need you to put this, we're gonna put some gel on there and goggle and blah 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 blah. Fine. So sure enough, I wake up. And whatever they gave me, they must have given me that propofol. That shit had me feeling nice. So I wake up singing nice and smooth. Nice and smooth. We're here to soothe you and make you move and show improve to you. So doctor comes in. She gives me the paper. Matter of fact, the nurse gives me the paper. Then doctor comes in. It's like, yeah, we looked in. Uh, everything looked good. Took a biopsy. We'll follow up in a week or so. So I look and I was like, I see gastritis, inflammation. Now, quiet as kept, I've been dealing with gastritis on and off for 27 years. My stomach used to break down every 3 months, but that was a lot to do with the lifestyle I was living. I was running hard, burning the candle at both ends, not eating right, drinking heavy, just doing young people shit. So I unfortunately I know what gastritis is. So when I ask, I'm like, yeah, it says gastritis inflammation. Is that the reason why my stomach is acting the way it is? Oh, it's possible. When I say two reasons. One, because I'm a gentleman and I would never put my hands on a woman. But I swear, if she was a male doctor, I would have wanted to roll up that paper and smack the shit out of him. Because here we go with that possible. You know what possible rings in my mind? You know what possible tells me? That you don't know what the you talking about. So we do this follow up this past week, right? So beforehand, I had another doctor's appointment, so to speak, phone conference. I won't get too in depth in that because some things just need to remain private. But I got some unfortunate news that I wasn't really expecting to hear. So I go to this appointment and my mind is just running about what was told to me about an hour prior. On top of, oh, I gotta go deal with old girl that's in her feelings. What is she mad because I'm not flirting with her, that she's not getting the fist of fury? I don't know. I don't know. But only one person, you figure the rest out. So that's already going on my mind. So I get there, they take my pressure. My pressure was higher than it should be. It was higher than it normally is. And I kind of put two and two together, like, oh, I didn't take my medicine. And I'm stressing over this. And I'm being anxious about having to deal with old girl. And just for the fact that nowadays when they take my pressure, I psych myself up. I psych myself out. So I'm nervous. As soon as they put the cuff on, I'm already trying to keep myself calm, but trying to keep myself calm is actually making me more excited. Welcome to the world of anxiety. Because I swear, I go on YouTube and I see all these anxiety with your videos. I need to start making anxiety videos. Shoot. Because some of them look like quacks. Some of them are like, darn, I wouldn't listen to them. But some of them actually make a lot of sense. But that's neither here nor there. So old girl comes in after my vitals in. She comes in. I'm sitting like this. She's like, "Good morning." I'm like, "Hey, good morning." She's like, "What's the matter?" I'm like, "A lot, but I'm all right." Cause I'm not really feeling you. I want to know what the hell's going on. Let's keep this strictly professional. Tell me what the hell's going on, and tell me what your next step of action is going to be. So she was like, "Yeah, the endoscopy, everything came back negative. Which was nothing there. Blah 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 blah." So it goes back to your diet. And I'm telling them, I'm like, "Look, miss, I have a couple of days, a couple times a week. I have a fresh juice. I have ginger, orange, and apple, freshly squeezed. I cut dairy out. I don't have no cheese. I don't have no milk. I drink water. Drink cranberry juice. I had some fruit, had some vegetables. What vegetables? So I told broccoli, corn, spinach. Oh, all those are gassy vegetables. Everything that you said is gassy. I mean, I'm looking at it like, what the fuck am I supposed to eat? So once again, I'm getting to. She's like, well, so she goes, prints out another copy. This is your gas diet. Did I give you the gas diet? Are you abiding by this? Because in her mind is the fact that she can't be wrong. She can't be wrong. And that's the problem with these fucking doctors. They act like they can't be wrong. So I'm telling her everything she's told me to do, I've done. But in her little slick way, she's like, well, in my years of experience, this was leads me to believe that what I'm telling you is the problem. Is the problem. So, in other words, because you have a degree, what I'm telling you is, all right, that might be the problem. But if I'm changing that dynamics and I still have the same, then guess what? You need to keep on searching. Or matter of fact, how about this? And this is what I'm going to do after when the ultrasound, after the results of the ultrasound come, I'm already going to make an appointment with somebody else because evidently you're so much in your feelings, you don't want to be proven wrong. That means you're overlooking stuff out of ego, and I don't need that. I'm at the age that I can't afford nobody to be getting in their feelings over my health. Over my health, Dr.Killpatient. That's why I said Dr.Killpatient, because she'll fuck around and overlook something, or because she's in her feeling, she'll be like, you know what, that might be something. It's possible. You know what? Old girl told me. Could I ask something like, well, you said there was inflammation found, right? What caused the inflammation? Oh, fasting. Fasting of what? Oh, when you prep for the endoscopy, since you didn't eat, that caused inflammation and stuff. If they're not ain't about a bullshit. So because I didn't eat for 8 hours, that caused inflammation in my stomach. Does that make sense whatsoever? Mind you, a week leading up to it, my stomach actually started to feel close to normal. And then as soon as I went up back under your ass, my shit started to bloop. Dr.Killpatient. Dr.Killpatient ass broad. I swear. I swear. I probably have better luck having Bugs Bunny actually be my doctor than this broad. Now, two other incidents that happened in the recent past that I will mention of why I believe, yes, we do need doctors, but a lot of, especially nowadays, especially after the heat of the pandemic, a lot of these doctors don't give a fuck about us at all. I had one doctor, and I'm going to keep this short, and I'm not going to get too in depth. But when I started last November, I started having palpitations out the blue, like frequent, multiple times during the day. So I'm like, you know what? I'm 45. I smoke. I drink. I don't eat the healthiest. I need to get this checked out because once in a blue, that's probably the cigarette. But multiple times a day, start freaking me out. So I went to the cardiologist. Matter of fact, I went to the urgent care, then I went to the cardiologist, had all the tests run, right? Meanwhile, I'm like, you know what? I need to get a primary care doctor because I've been slacking on that, right? I've been going to all these specialists, but I really don't have a primary care. So I go to this primary care out of Methodist, which is now New York's Presbyterian, Brooklyn. So I go to this fucking quack. I tell her my history. I tell her my current situation. She said, well, sorry about that. Do you want to try this? Your pressure's a little high. Has it been, has that number been consistent the last couple of times you've gone to the doctor? I said, yes. She's like, you know what? Maybe you need blood pressure medicine because it's not extremely high, but it's higher than normal. I said, you know what? I'm open to everything, which was a mistake. So she gives me these two medications. But then day 5, she didn't tell me about the interactions. Day 5, my body started going haywire. When I reached out to this doctor almost like she got scared, like, I'll give you a list of XYZ to call. They're gonna have to take care of that. What the fuck you mean they gotta take care of it? You the one who started this. You're my primary care now. You need to see me. As a matter of fact, I need to see you. And I think somebody must have even got to her head, or she must have had a minute to think like, oh shit, I'm liable for my practice. I gotta squeeze him in. All right, come in tomorrow. The reason I bring that up, and like I said, I'm not gonna go in depth in that because, like I said, certain things need to remain private. Um, is because this was a situation of a doctor, and she said as much. Well, she said this. She was like, I was only trying to help. I understand and I appreciate you trying to help, but if you really don't know what the F you're doing, then it would have been better for you to abstain. It would have been better for you to be like, you know what? Let me take a step back and let me look at this from a wide point of view and see what we can do instead of just rushing in. Take this, and go about your business. And then when the chemical experiment exploded in my face, oh, I didn't give you the beaker. Oh, I wasn't the teacher. Talk to the principal. Once again, Dr. Killpatient. What would have happened? What would have happened, God forbid, if I didn't take corrective measures into my hand and say, you know what, this is something's wrong here. Let me go get this checked out. Maybe I might not be here for my wife and kids, or maybe the damage would have been done to the point of I couldn't reverse it. I couldn't progress from that. I still deal with repercussions from that night to this day. I will say this. I will say this when it comes to that situation. For at least in the immediate aftermath of that, I blame that doctor for everything. For at the time my current state of being. And then I realized I'm like, you know what? Things happen the way they happen for a reason. Maybe I was burning the candle at both ends and I was about to burn all the way out. Maybe, just maybe, and this is a line from the American Dream, Dust of Oath. I was riding on the end of that lightning bolt, maybe a little bit too long. Just a little bit too long. And that was the Lord's way of saying, whoa, Kibosabi, slow the fuck down. Excuse my French, because I really didn't mean to put the Lord and the F word in the same sentence. So I apologize for that. And hopefully I'll be forgiven for that. But yeah. So I've been able to look at it from a big picture point of view. I'm like, you know what? Okay. Ain't nothing I can do about that now. Can't look back. Gotta progress. And it made me make life choices that will probably be better for me in the long run. And shoot, just over 8 months later, I want to say I'm in a better place than I was. Even though I'm still battling, I'm still progressing, I'm still overall, I'm in a better place than I was. And probably on a better path, because to be honest, to be very blunt, and like I said, I'm probably divulging way too much, but at this point in time, I really don't care. The moniker, the old name of this podcast, my old nickname, Donnie Oo, had a lot of negative connotations when it came to that name. It really did. I didn't. I was kind of clouded. seeing it. And I'm not saying I was living a character because I wasn't, but it gave me that little wiggle room to say, well, that was Donnie, that wasn't Mike. Or, yo, Donnie just wild. Donnie just live on the edge. But at the end of the day, Mike was living on the edge. And Mike has a lot of responsibilities. No thanks to Dr.Killpatient, though, because that bro really tried to put me 6 feet under. Almost. Now, the last thing I will say, and matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to leave it off at that because I really did not plan on talking about Dr.Killpatient for all of a half hour. But it was necessary. It was necessary. It was a little bit of venting on my behalf, So this picture is more apropos than this picture because I think in this picture, especially at the time, I was the Tasmanian devil. And Dr.Killpatient was in fact about to kill me off with that nitroglycerin. And my mouth was wide open, not even paying attention to what was about to happen. Yeah. So, anywho, moving on to the NYC migrants. Okay. I'm going to read from my trusty ass notes. Y'all didn't realize I had trusty ass notes, did y'all? I'm going to read from my trusty ass notes so I can give myself a springboard over what exactly I need to get across in this segment. The migrant / asylum seekers situation. You notice how they changed it from migrants to asylum seekers. First, it was migrants because they were literally migrating from South America all the way up here, all the way across the country, or all the way across the border to Florida, to Texas. And Texas was busting ass north, busting ass to New York City. And then when they came up here, they magically stopped becoming migrants and became asylum seekers. There's one thing I noticed in the coverage over I would say especially the last 2 weeks when we had that problem at, I believe, the Roosevelt Hotel in Grand Central in Midtown, where they didn't have enough beds, or the processing that came to a halt. So you had tens of hundreds of asylum seekers outside sleeping on the street while staying in line instead of getting on the bus, which wasn't better, but it's better than being on the street, especially when we had that little mini heat wave. When the media now, when it's becoming the media is actually saying how much of a burden that they are to the city finances, right? You notice how the media now are showing all the darker skinned asylum seekers, or should I say darker skinned migrants? Because remember, at the very, very beginning, every time there was a photo op, all you saw was Mexicans, Guatemalans, Ecuadorians, all the fairer skins. Because remember, right around that time, didn't they put in a rule or law or something that says, yeah, we're only going to accept asylum seekers from these countries? Conveniently, Haiti was not one of them. I still have ingrained in my brain, yeah, exactly, the images of U.S. Marshals on horseback whipping the Haitian migrants back across the border. Nigga, get your ass across that border. You're not welcome here. Quit Coincidentally, that was under the Biden administration. It would have been a bigger uproar if it was under Trump. And don't get me wrong, trust me, I am not a MAGA. I am not a Trump supporter. But facts are facts. Did they ever amend that rule? Not to my knowledge. Yeah, I mean they stopped publicizing the whippings. But I digress. The state of New York wants to build sensors to help with the population on government-owned property. But due to guidelines, they can't at this time. One of the government-owned property, I believe, is Floyd Bennett Field. They want to start building, I guess, buildings, little sensors that they can house the immigrants. And they want to chop down the amount of time that said immigrants can apply for working status from 180 days, which is 6 months, to I believe 90 days, which is 3 months. Because I believe you have to wait 6 months after you file your application to become a citizen or to gain asylum status in order to actually work. How does the government, how does DC expect this to be sustainable? Okay, the Right to Shelter Act, the Right to Shelter law says they come, we must provide. I wouldn't have a problem with that if the city itself, the state even more so, was given support by Washington to help manage this crisis. Now, don't get me wrong, Mayor Benson / Mayor Adams, he puts his foot in his mouth a lot of times, and he probably would get the benefit of the doubt if he wasn't so arrogant in certain ways. He's so thirsty for respect, but respect is earned, not given. And if you don't want to be known as the party mayor, as the club mayor, then maybe you should have put yourself up on Front Street so much. So when these situations come, you're able to handle them, or you're in a position of higher stature than you are now, where people could just go for the low hanging fruit of, damn, he hasn't seen an album release party that he has not been to. This is true. He hasn't seen a camera that he would not like, but yet he's caught on camera plenty of time. You're going to speak to me with respect. It's going to be a back and forth conversation. You're not going to talk over me. You're not going to disrespect me. I get that. I'm the mayor of New York. Okay, you're the mayor of New York. And this is a problem that's in your lap. To his credit, I was saying, to his credit, he's gone down to DC numerous times and tried to hold the government, the Senate, the House of Representatives, Biden himself, accountable of, listen, we're getting this mass influx, this mass inflation of population, and y'all not giving us no funding, y'all not giving us no guidelines, y'all not giving us anything. And then now, of all times, you're going to say, oh, Governor Hochil, Nurse Jackie, yeah, we know you saw the space, but guess what? You're not allowed to use that space. Yeah, it's in your state, but that belongs to us. Find another way. But you're not giving us any options. You're not giving them any options. It's funny how Washington allows the city to get overwhelmed with little to no help or guidance, but when measures are trying to be taken to alleviate the crisis, it's a hard no. And like I said before, also, has anyone noticed that now that the situation is becoming increasingly unpopular, the media is now focusing on a darker shade of asylum seeker? Not saying it's unequal, But whenever you want to garner any type of discontent, our type is always front and center. Always. I'm watching New York One, and they just rolling a steady loop of a clip at the Roosevelt Hotel, and the only people you see front and center, the ones that look like they just mooching. I find it funny. I find it funny that Washington, our government has given how many billions of dollars to the Ukraine for Zelensky to pretty much trick off? I swear, Zelensky probably got so many holes. He's probably getting so much pussy off those billions of dollars. And it's going to waste because you never see him suited and booted. He still look like a piece of shit. He probably snorting so much of that China white from fucking Russia. Yeah, I know they at war with Russia, but you don't think he getting the supply from over there? Yeah, I'm speaking slanderous, so what? But the point remains the same. We're sending all this money overseas to old boy that's tricking it away. But yet, in the capital of the world, if I do say so myself, especially the unnamed, unofficial capital of this United States of America, New York City, they don't have no bread. It's all they which go they're the epitome of short arms and deep pockets when it comes to us. I'll take it one step further. The tragedy that's going on in Hawaii right now with the fires. With the fires. I believe last count is 95 people dead and rising. Maui is pretty much Maui is very, very much damaged and under duress. It's taking celebrities of all fields to actually rescue people from the island of Maui. Or should I say at least visitors, or those who have people on the mainland. Yes, we hear the common refrain. Yes, we're going to declare a state of emergency. We're going to give them all the support we can. I saw a disturbing video on social media of one woman saying that between FEMA and the Red Cross, that a lot of the supplies that are being sent are being stockpiled and not divvied out to the population that needs them, which is always common. It's a common reoccurrence when it comes to national disasters in this country. I vividly remember the situation down in New Orleans, down in Louisiana, when it came to Katrina for months. This is even worse because they're on an isolated island. It's almost similar and maybe even worse than the situation that happened in Puerto Rico a couple years ago, where they were out of electricity and living in sewage and stuff for months. They still haven't fully recovered from that time, from that devastating time, right? So what's being done? What can we do besides, take the mail on this offer like, you got a free room? Get a migrant. That's your plan. That's your plan. Anybody got any free space? Do you know how high freaking rent is right now? I swear, I'm on a 5-year plan, like officially 5-year plan. I just made 20 years at my shoe job. So I have 5 years left before I'm trying to get up out of Dodge. That's the only thing keeping me in this godforsaken city. Is the fact that yeah, I just got to try to hold the reins together and grind these 5 years out before I reach civilization. Do you know, to me, what this feels like at various times? This feels like the Hunger Games. I swear, the United States feels like Panem. It reminds me of Mockingjay even more. Follow me here. Okay. So throughout the whole trilogy, we have President Snow, right? President Snow and the Capitol, and pretty much you have the haves and the have-nots. All the districts struggling. The only people living high in the hog is the Capitol, right? So you have these Hunger Games. You have Katniss and Peter and all of them, right? Then you get to breaking catching fire. You start seeing more of the intricacies of the Capitol, the intricacies of the rebellion. Then you get the Mockingjay. And then you have President Coin. President Coin, who betrayed herself as being for the people, but in reality, you know what she was for? She was for herself. She wanted to knock out that dictator so she can become the dictator. She was more manipulative than Snow was, if you think about it. Snow let it be known, like, look, this is what I'm about. Coin, on the other hand, smiled in your face, but meanwhile was trying to throw the knife around your throat. I say that because in reality, when it comes to our current situation with the society, in this country, there is no real good side, bad side. I'm on the side of right. I'm on the side of wrong. I'm on the side of good. I'm on the side of evil. You know what I've always said? And tell you the truth, I'm gonna take this quote because this quote's from Spaceballs. Good will always lose against evil because good is dumb. That's the best way I could explain it. Dumb meaning they try to do the same exact thing that the evil ones do. They just do it in ways that are so transparent of, yeah, that's why every time we let y'all, we give y'all the run of the place, y'all just go crazy. And then we end up having, that's why it's always a back and forth. It's always a back and forth. It's never one vision. It's always back and forth. It's almost like a football team. When you got a players coach, yeah, that's good for a couple years until the players start tuning him out and start taking advantage. Then you got to get a disciplinarian. And the disciplinarian, if you got any talent, will squeeze good 2 or 3 years out of them before the team gets burnt out. And then you got to transition back to the player coach. I swear, that's how this country is. You go for the Republicans, you go for the money grubbers, you go for the immoral, those are the immoral party. And then after a while, then you transition over to the Democrats. And Democrats used to always be about the people, right? I know growing up in the 80s, because like that was really my when I really was in depth with politics, even though I didn't understand, I was too young to understand the depths of those politics. That's when I was really infatuated with politics. I was 7, 8, 9 years old, getting up on Sunday morning, watching Meet the Press, watching This Week with Sam Donaldson, with David Brinkley, Face the Nation. I was watching those shows like intently. This is before MSNBC. This is before Fox News. This is channel 2, 4, and 7 on Sunday mornings. And this is the Reagan years, Reaganomics, trickle down economics, right? Now, my ignorant ass looking back, I'm like, yo, the 80s, I ain't gonna lie. Shit might have been burning around me, but shit, I stayed fly. We always had food on the table, a roof over our head. We might not have money in the bank, but we was never broke. Then you get the early 92. Matter of fact, then you got Bush. Bush part 1. That's when things started. Because Bush didn't know what the fuck he was doing. Then we got Clinton. And that's around the years I started working. Money stretched. Give Clinton that much. Money stretched. We wasn't on the verge of world war or nothing. But they had to try to get him out the paint because he likes him getting some head. Shoot. Was it his fault old girl didn't swallow? Oh. Ooh. Yeah, I'm shooting right now. There's a reason why I'm wearing this shirt. Original Bullet Club leader number 1, Prince Devitt. Finn. For all you newcomers. But yeah, was it our fault? Was it his fault that whole girl didn't swallow? No. But they tried to get him out the paint. Clinton was like, nah, I'm doing these 8 years. And he got his 8 years. But after those 8 years, they were like, shit, see, yo, he was wilding. Yo, why he in the office? He in the Oval Office getting domed. Nah. We got, put this idiot in office. That was Bush part 2. Right? Bush was a fucking idiot. But he wasn't the danger. The danger was Cheney. Cheney was the danger. Bush was the danger because he was stupid enough not to realize who he had behind him really pulling the strings. And he played that. He played that to a fault. And then we got Obama. We got Obama for 8 years. Because Bush had effed things up so drastically, and a certain demographic of the population, well, a certain part of the population that didn't think they could get touched was getting touched, and it was like, you know what? Let's put the nigga in office. And that's what he did. And he got 8 years. And the common refrain is, well, he needed 8 years because the first 4 years he had to dig out from the rubble of what was left for him for 8 years prior. And there is some truth to that. The last 4 years, I really think, and look, I won't say anything negative about Obama because at the end of the day, he made it possible for us to say we had a black president. He made it possible for people behind him to say that is a possibility. That's not a glass ceiling. Like they can aspire to do that because history has shown it was done. The only thing I'll say is I wish he had a lot of Cheney in him and said, look, this is what I'm doing. I'm the president. I'm going to do it. Oh, you want to veto me? Guess what? I'm going to override that shit. Fuck out my face. Understand why he couldn't do it. Understand why he didn't do it. I'm just saying I wish he would have done that. And then we got 4 years of Trump, which I always say is the revenge of having a black president. That was Trump. Trump was the revenge of having a black man in the Oval Office for 8 years. And but then Trump was just so far gone and just really didn't give about any of the standards and anything that was already ingrained. It was like, you know what? Anybody but Trump. That's how we got old man Biden. You know how fucked up it gotta be that we got an 80 some odd old president in office whose son might have been smoking crack in the White House going into election year, and there's nobody on the horizon that we could say, you know what, we're going to pin our hopes on him. We're just going to say, you know what? Hopefully, old boy could just go to rehab and y'all could just hide him for 4 more years. I mean, for next year, so we could just try to get old man back in the office. I'm an independent. And even from my independent status, I'm looking around and the field is very, very barren. And I know I done gone way off track when I was start talking about NYC migrants. Because these are more like random ass thoughts. But it's just so interesting. Well, it's not interesting, it's sad to be blunt. It's very sad to be blunt. Um, I don't know what's going to happen, but we're already the middle of August. 2024 is, I was going to say, 4.5 months away. And then we get into the real meat of the matter. And tell you the truth, I don't hear anybody on the left side saying that they're going to challenge. I mean, we have Robert Kennedy, but that's another subject. I'm not getting into that right now. And is he really on the left? You know, I mean, shoot. Breaking news. As of this recording, shoot. I think Trump just got dropped with 41 indictments for the election tampering in Georgia. Hopefully that'll box him out. I don't know. It's interesting times in the United States of America. Shoot. It's really ridiculous, to say the truth. I mean, like, really, really ridiculous. But with all that being said, I am actually going to try something funny, something new. Hopefully, y'all like it, and I'm going to give y'all a sneak peek. Matter of fact, not a sneak peek. I'm going to give y'all a promo of something that dropped last week. And that thing that dropped is this.
We outside. So yeah, we'll see you next episode when we venture down south.
This is a 19 Media Group presentation.
Damn, we rusty. A lot of people probably look at me like, why does it say Donnie Ooh up there and it says Mike Steph down here? Because we're hidden gems. That's the hidden gem. Do you know where that name is from? And why did I just point that out on camera? With LaFleur, I was going to go back to the old Fat Five. LaFleur, Escorska. Oh, we recording. We live. So yeah, the energy is going up.
I don't think that you can handle this.
Yeah. Like I said, I think in the intro, and if I didn't, I'll say it right now. Hidden Gems Football is back, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. That's right. Y'all heard what I said. Hidden Gems Football is back. Hosted by the Mojo King and yours truly, Mike Steph. New episodes will drop every Thursday, probably during the regular season. But right now, you just need to go to the 19 Media Group YouTube page, subscribe, press the notification button. So therefore, when we drop randomly leading up to the regular season, y'all will be the first ones to hear it. And while you're doing that, subscribing and pressing the notification button and stuff, while you're still with me, press the notification button, please, and press subscribe, please. Because one thing I did find out, and I did notice, or should I say was told to me, that when I took my self-imposed hiatus during the month of July and didn't drop for 3 to 4 weeks, that when I came back on the YouTube streets, when I came back on the podcasting airwaves, a lot of people who do follow and who do subscribe to me were not notified whatsoever. So they had no idea that I was back. So please, I really, really appreciate if y'all do press that notification button, that little bell. I think that's what it is nowadays. That little bell. So therefore, when I drop, y'all be the first ones to hear it. Yeah. So that brings us to the end of another episode of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph. I'd like to thank each and every one of y'all for making me and this here podcast the one y'all choose to listen to. Next week is up in the air. I will be here, hopefully, but the subject matter is very, very tenuous at this time. I'm trying to hold my football thoughts until the very, very eve of the regular season, or should I say that week by before the beginning of the regular season, where I will come out with not Donnie's fourth annual half-ass NFL preview, because guess what? Donnie is no more. But it will be an NFL preview right here on the Sochi Thoughts of Mike Steph. That's what I'm leaning toward that week before the NFL season commences. And I think that would probably be the weekend of Labor Day, because I think the first game is September 7th. So, but next week, I have a rabbit that I want to pull out the hat. I got to confer with a certain gentleman that I'll give you a hint, that likes to toast a rose to himself, that likes to deal with the Bachelor and the Bachelorette and all that other bullshit. And yeah, there's some things in the works, because there's one of my guilty pleasures this summer, and I'm man enough to say it, and I really don't care if anybody looks at me sideways. You know what two shows that I've actually been engrossed in this summer? Temptation Island and The Big D. Pause. Two dating shows that go back to back on Hump Wednesday on the USA Network. And at first, I was going to give a week by week recap, and I'm like, no. First of all, that's too much work, and I like watching them just to watch them. I don't want to watch them and write down notes. But also, because I'm not a biter, and Mr. McDowell has his own thing on his own platform called A Rose from Tyler, which he does a breakdown of The Bachelor. So that would be stepping on his toes. But we have come to a meeting of our minds to try to give the masses a little combo, and just haven't sorted out everything yet. And that's probably too much information I done gave y'all, but y'all know sometimes I can't hold water to save my life. So that might be on deck next week, but regardless, I will be definitely on deck next week. And there's one thing that I did want to bring to everybody's attention, especially my New York Jet fans out there. Look at those marvelous uniforms. Sauce Gardner, Quentin Williams, AR himself, Aaron Rodgers. But those aren't the most important things to put images on the screen. No. The most important image on that screen are those actual uniforms. Those are the uniforms that my Jets played in when I became a Jet fan. They're the updated version of this. The Mark Gastineau, Marty Lyons uniforms. The Joe Klecko uniforms, if you will. But the white and green just had a little bit more panache. The green and white, it was all right, but sometimes since we sucked so much, they just came across as dirty. Then we had the Keyshawn. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that Keyshawn was a jet, was a prolific jet at the time. He was better than this cocksucker right here. Yeah. Look at that. Look at that green. That green looked like puke, right? You know why it looked like puke? Because guess who was in it? Mr. Boomer. Mr. Boomer Esiason himself. Yes, Norman Esiason himself. But I digress. I am still keeping up a streak of not repeating. Yeah, I'm gonna bring this to attention, even though it's gonna be some surprises. But I'm still keeping up a streak of not repeating myself not once on these YouTube streets. I had to go in the archives and pick this one out. Too sweet. Nah. More like the only club. The real rock and roller. Had to pull out the archives of this. But yeah, reason I showed that those uniforms, let's just say, they're gonna make a return. Matter of fact, they're probably gonna make a preview on one of these platforms that I'm gonna be on talking football. Might be this one. It might be Hidden Gems Football. Only way you can find out is by tuning in to both of them. Yeah. So, yeah. So, with all that being said, I am going to leave y'all with this. A couple weeks ago, like I've been trying to get back into the groove, get back into the vibe of really rhyming again. Various reasons why I haven't really put out a track. Tell you the truth, last freestyle I put out was actually New Year's Day. Put out 2. But yeah, so lately, what I've been doing, especially on Instagram, follow me on Instagram at Mike Steph, at Mike_Steph on Instagram, is I'll freestyle. If I get the mood, I'll look up a instrumental. I got some rhymes in my head that I always memorize, my go-to rhymes, and I freestyle. A couple weeks ago, I was freestyling, and my brother Fortes, at Real Fortes on Instagram, Fortes prolific producer extraordinaire, which got D Block representative, Classy Boys, Strain Gang, the whole nine. He told me, he's like, because we've known each other for a while. Not even on no music shit. Like I'm one of his biggest fans. I love his work. But he told me like, yo, like I was freestyling on Skip the Kids beat. Another wonderful producer, prolific, drops them like this. And he was like, yo, Mike, like, like, I got you, fam. You could use one of my beats. And I was like, wow, that I appreciated that, because, like I said, we never been on no music shit. So I took him up on that offer, and I freestyled in the car, like I've been known to do on Instagram. But I did one. I think I did it one better. And I'll tell you this quick story before I get up out of here. He had an instrument. Matter of fact, he had a song, a track entitled Sacrifice. And I loved the beat. I think he made this song probably about 2016, 2015, to tell you the truth, because neither here nor there. And I love the beat. I love the song itself, and I love the instrumental. And it just made me think of the subject matter the beat made me just put me in a different zone, right? Just about sacrificing. Actually, something that me and a close me and some I'm going to keep their name quiet. I'm going to keep their name private because I don't know if they want me to divulge that. But me and a friend of mine actually had a talk about sacrificing today when it comes to our job and when it comes to our children, and sometimes having to sacrifice milestones with our children for the greater good, so to speak. But looking back on things like, that was one time, that shit can never happen again. So when I heard this instrumental, I said, you know what? I'm gonna write to it, and I wrote to it. But I had no intention on hitting Fortes up for the beat, like, yo, which call can I use the beat? Yo, how much you charge for the beat? Blah blah blah. I just wrote it because that's what inspired me to do, right? And I recorded it, but I kept it on the low because I kept it for me. So when he brought up, like, yo, fam, you can use a beat, like you can use one of my beats, and I didn't take it as, yo, I'm gonna run with it, like, yo, I'm gonna fucking make one and sell it or put it out or whatever. But I freestyled to it, and I get upset at myself because the verse that I used, matter of fact, the verse that I wrote for the song, I used on another song, and it came out okay, for various reasons. I don't really talk about that song or that project just because it's nothing even personal with anybody else. It's more personal with myself. So, but when it came to that verse, I did feel offended looking back on it, like, damn, if I would have known what I known, or if I would have ended up feeling the way I felt, I would have never used that verse on any other song except for the song or the track that it was meant for. So I did a freestyle for that. I didn't get in depth on a little caption, whatever, but I did a freestyle based on that track. People might have heard it before. Well, close friends of mine probably heard it before. People haven't heard it before, and once again, this is not for profit, so I don't feel like this would be going against the code, the unspoken code, or just being illegal or whatever, copyright or whatever. But yeah, so I'm going to end this episode by y'all listening and hearing my freestyle to the track Sacrifice by Fortes. Available, the instrumental is available on all streaming platforms wherever music is available, DSPs, and on his Bandcamp. I believe it's Musician Volume 1. So yeah, so I'm gonna leave it off like that. And shit, I was really trying to get out of here in 90 minutes, but y'all know me, I could just go on and on and on and on and on, like on and on and on and on. Never, yeah. So until next week, until next week, I will see y'all then. And once again, I appreciate every one of y'all for checking me out.
If I ain't touching the sky, why should I get high? Just food Humbling myself and not wanting to die. Smoke clouds created perfect places to hide. Open up the dark rooms that reside in my mind. Locked for a reason, they're forgotten by time. Must not have been important, I was perfectly fine. By the world standards way different from mine. Cause in the land of who is where Donna resides. The love for my kids is what keeps me alive. But the older that I get, a little piece of me dies. Isolate myself so I can secretly cry. Frustrated with myself, so I'm wondering why. The blood in my veins is only shared by 4 clears for me, so I'm riding for 5. 1/4 sacrifice, everybody has a price. Some are attainable, others wouldn't think twice about splurging, giving to my urges. I feel that it's urgent for me to start purging. Nothing is for certain until they close the curtains. Except for the nagging feeling that I'm truly worthless. Everything you see is perfect on the surface. Damn good job of hiding, he was always lurking. Handle with my life, loaded dice, so uncertain. Overvalue my word, the best the gift and the curse. Johnny. Goodbye.
Damn. I thought I was gone, right? Well, now I am gone. Goodbye.